Have you ever met a total stranger where you felt like you met on purpose, that it was supposed to happen because of the exchange that you had was so meaningful and profound? And guess what? Me either. Until now. After overnighting at Walmart, I make it to the Valley Country store, and they're only about 4 miles from the van stock event. So after all of that grueling driving and traveling with my fears, I make it to Palmer, Alaska. This is where I meet others going to van stock, so I'm very excited. But more importantly, this is where I meet Lando, and he's from Texas. So let me tell you this story. So it starts out textbook, just like any other interaction you have with a total stranger. He sees a sign on my van and it says, van stock. And he's, oh, I'm going to van stock. So right there, instant connection, fantastic. I think we were both doing laundry at this point in time. So we were kind of there for a while. And he says to me, can I give you something? And I said, okay. So he hands something to me, and I don't look at it at that point in time, but I thank him and I take it back to the van because, again, I got Fifi in the van. So I jump in the van to interact with Fifi, and she's acting like she hasn't seen me all day, even though I only went to go flip the laundry over. So I have to empty my hands for the things that Lando gave me. So I put those to the side. Now, I knew one of the items that Lando gave me was a little beautiful wooden cross, but it was the bookmarker and the small piece of paper that caught my attention. It was like a blow to the gut, if you will. And I actually had to sit down and I read it, and I was freaked out, but not in a bad way. Now, before I go any further, I feel the need to give a quick disclosure. This channel is all about van stuff, travel, things surrounding van life, food that I make that's freeze-dried, stuff like that. I really don't get into religion or politics. That's just not for this channel. What I do want to say is that this encounter is based on my personal experience and encounter with a total stranger. I respect everybody's religion, and whatever helps you get your faith on, I love that for you. Personally, I'm more of a spiritual person, which to me makes the story even more interesting. So let's get back to it. Now, that small card, when I'm afraid, I put my trust in you, that's the card that hit me like a ton of bricks. Fun fact, I went to Catholic school for a few years, and I hadn't recited the Lord's Prayer since then when I was a kid. At this point, like, every hair on the back of my neck is standing up, and I jump out of the van, and I've got to find this man. And luckily, he was still doing laundry, so I grabbed him, and we talked. So I started explaining how unbelievably accurate the information that he gave me was, and that I had been afraid for majority of the trip. My fear of heights is actually pretty, it's pretty intense. It definitely is a phobia. And how I hadn't recited the Lord's Prayer since I was in Catholic school when I was younger. And that's about all I could get out. And I just started crying like a baby. And I mean like the ugly cry. So, yeah, it wasn't pretty. For context, I could tell you that, I'm not a crier by nature. I'm Gen X. So I was brought up to kind of suck it up and rub some dirt on it kind of thing. That's the generation I come from. So, I'm not a very emotional person. Like, I don't cry easily. Then I continue to tell him, I guess TMI, that I could barely hold down one meal a day. My stomach was always in knots, and I could barely keep food in. Use your imagination with that. I didn't say keep food down. I said keep food in. That was a big problem. At this point, I'm apologizing for crying, and I don't know, we may have shared a hug. I don't remember. I emotionally just blacked out, to be quite honest. Then he starts sharing his story with me. Lando starts explaining to me that he had picked those items up just for the purpose of the trip to travel from Texas to Alaska. He had never done it before. Then he explains to me that he was a little down because he was discouraged. Most of the people that he asked, they declined or refused. Some more polite than others, for whatever reason. So I have these words for Lando, and tell me if you agree with this. So I said, if someone doesn't want to accept your simple act of kindness, it just means it's not meant for them. It's meant for someone else. And then I said to him, if everyone that you had offered those items to had accepted, maybe you wouldn't have had one to give to me today. And I thought, to me, that just made sense. And I'm thankful for it. I mean, he really uplifted me. I unloaded on that poor man with so much emotion from days of stress that, it was probably kind of frightening. But Lando, I thank you. And I hope you get to see this. And I'd like to say, for anybody that's out there, if you come across Lando or anyone like him, just sharing acts of kindness, because all he said to me was, I'd like to give you something. He wasn't trying to get my email address, my phone number. He wasn't asking what religion I was in. That wasn't it. It was a simple act of kindness. And in this world right now, and in this country, I'm here for it. So thank you, Lando. And if you don't wish to accept his act of kindness, let him know. It's not for me. It's meant for someone else. That's it. It's just that simple. So I do think on this day, we were meant to cross paths and have this experience. And that's my story on how a stranger had such an impact in my life. And in case anybody's wondering, that cross stays in the van. Thanks again, Lando. So in your opinion, what's your takeaway from my encounter with Lando? I'm curious.